Hello guys and welcome back to a new video. My name is Pips, co-founder of PropsMadness and Pro Sports Better. We have a decent looking slate and I'll be sharing 3 official bets. But before we dive into the bets, let's recap the last show picks. And once again, horrible luck on our side. First bet, Tobias Harris, easy win even in a blowout without 4 quarter minutes. DeMar DeRozan scores 16 points in 18 minutes. Got into foul trouble in the first half, played 12 minutes, and then only played 6 minutes into the second half because he decided to bench the starters down 15. Absolutely incredible. So he was on pace to score 30 points. And we had over 17 and a half. Absolutely insane. And then we got hooked on Isaiah Joe. He had the volume, even though he played only 20 minutes, got only 7 minutes in the second half. DeRozan, 16 points in 18 minutes. We needed 18 points. Isaiah Joe, hook. DeAndre Ayton, 4 from 16. PJ Washington, hook, went from the bench. LaMelo Ball, hook. Draymond Green, hook, also fouled out. Tobias Harris, so 8 out of our last 9 bets were either hooks or some crazy thing that happened, like DeMar DeRozan playing only 18 minutes in the entire game. So can't do much about it. We have great bets. Just last couple of days, they are not going our side, but long term, we are winning more than 18 units of profit. Huge 18% ROI, almost 90% ROI. So things are going really well. Just a rough stretch, I would say. And without going deeper into this, let's now jump into the today picks. And my first official bet would be Tumani Kamara over 2.5 threes. It's plus 150. I usually bet 1.5 unit as my standard bet, and we'll now scale to 1 unit because this one is plus 150. So if you bet 1 unit to win 1.5 units. So Tumani Kamara, we can see even last 2 games he made 4 and 3 threes against Miami Heat and Toronto Raptors. But let's look at the expected minutes. Last 2 games he played 37, 35, 35 even in a blowout against the Heat. So when we set expected minutes between 28 to 38 minutes, we can see that over the last 21 games, he covered this in 14 out of 21. If we take a look at the entire season, he covered this in 20 out of 34 games, still covering this in 59% of the games. But injury reports kind of weird. We have Danny Avdia questionable, but Drew Holiday returned, Jeremy Grant returned, Shadon Sharp is playing. But this is a small sample size. I don't think we can see that usage didn't change with those guys in, so we don't need to add those guys in. But let's just look at the entire season sample size, because he doesn't lose minutes when these guys are in, and he doesn't lose usage when these guys are in. So nothing really changes for Tumani, but we need to look at the matchups. This one is absolutely amazing. You can see that Boston Celtics allow 5th most threes. We can see that they allow 8th most to his position, and they also allow 7th most spot up, and they allow 4th most catch and shoot. But that goes even higher when we look at the last 15 games. Over the last 15 games, they allow 2nd most threes, and they allow 3rd most catch and shoot. So this is absolutely amazing spot for Tumani Kamara. So let's now look how he performs against teams that allow above average spot up. So when we look at the teams that are ranked 16 to 30 in spot up allowed, we can see that he covered this line in 15 out of 21 games, averaging more than 3 threes made per game. Also, we can see that in those games he averaged 7.8 attempts per game. And when we look other way around, when he's playing great defense against spot up, we can see that he's covered this in only 5 out of 13 games, and his average of attempts goes down to 6.5. So 6.5 against these, and in great matchups like Boston tonight, it's up to 7.8 average. So very much correlated with hit rate and also with the volume, which we like to see. And also looking at the game they already played this season, and he made 4 threes against the Boston Celtics out of 10 huge attempts. So unbelievable volume. In that game, we had Avdia playing, Holiday and Grant were out, but as I said, not a big impact on his volume when both Holiday and Grant are in. So loving this part at this amazing price. We're getting plus 150. So our first official bet, Tumani Kamara over 2.5 threes. My second and third bet will be from the game Grizzlies against the Rockets. Grizzlies are away and the spread is 10.5, so I'll scale down both of my bets because there are overs in a blowout chance game. So both bets will be 1 unit instead of 1.5 units. That's this way we are lowering our risk. So first of these bets will be on Alperen Şengün. We are going to his rebounds and assists 14.5 minus 126 DraftKings Caesars and exchanges, widely available actually. So when we look at the Alperen Şengün, when he gets expected minutes, which is kind of 31 to 42, in those games he's averaging 36. That's where I see him tonight on 36 minutes. So when we look at the entire season data, we can see that he covered this line in 70% of the games, averaging 16.5 rebounds and assists. Also, let's look at head to head. He already played Memphis and he had 23 rebounds and assists in that game. 7 assists, 16 rebounds. Amazing. We can also see that Steven Adams is out, so his rebounds could be better. They also had a decent 2-day rest, so the minutes should be there. Looking at the matchup, we can see that they allow average to his position, average assist, and above average rebound. So matchup is kind of average to above average. But looking at the last 10 games, we can see that they allow 6 most assists, 8 most rebounds. And overall, when you look at their defense over the last 10 games, they are 8th worst defense in the league. If I take a look at the numbers correlation, on the season when he gets 31 to 42 minutes, he averaging 16.5, covering this. But let's include the games with KD playing, moves to 16.9 rebounds and assist average, covering 75% of the games. And let's now exclude the team that allows the least rebounds and assists to position, which is Detroit Pistons. When we exclude that team, we can see that he's averaging 17 rebounds and assists per game and covered this in 18 out of 23 games, including the game against the Memphis. So really loving this spot. Alperen Şengün over 14.5 rebounds and assists. And guys, before we dive into the last bet, if you like the analysis and the research on these bets, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Last official bet will be Jabari Smith Jr. over 14.5 points, minus 106 on FanDuel. Great spot against Memphis. But let's start with the minutes. We can see that he has the most consistent minutes out of any Rocket, not named KD. Last couple of games, 37 minutes, 38 minutes, 35 minutes, 41 minutes. So he's getting a ton of minutes. So starting with the minutes, I'll just put 25 or more minutes. So in those minutes, he's averaging 15.4 points a game, covering this line in 23 out of 39 games. 59% win rate already. But this is actually a great matchup. We can see that they allow a ton of catch and shoot, pull up, above the break threes, some spot up. But when you look at the last 10 games, as I said, they are even worse. They allow 6 most catch and shoot. They are still allowing average pull up. So lately we can see Trey Murphy 32 points, Keyshawn George 28, Lauri Markkanen 26, Jeremy Grant 21. So similar players have been cooking against them lately. And let's now look at the correlation with the defense he's facing. If you exclude top 8 teams in spot up defense, we can see that his hit rate goes up to 69% and his average goes up to 16 points a game. If we also include top 7 teams in defense against his dominant shooting zone, his numbers go even higher. It goes now to 16.3 points a game average and covering this in 18 out of 25 games. So great stuff, great matchup for Jabari Smith Jr. And remember guys, we are doing 1 unit on Jabari Smith Jr. as well. So today we have 3 1-unit bets instead of 1.5 as our standard bet that was in previous videos. Let's now go to a spot that's not official bet but still kind of like the spot, which is LaMelo Ball over 19.5 points. We can see that lately his minutes were up. 28 minutes against the Orlando Magic in a blowout. Last game wasn't a back-to-back. He got 32 minutes. So when we take a look at the games when he's playing 26 to 36 minutes on the entire season, we can see that he's averaging 21.3 points and the line is at 19.5. But let's also exclude the games when Brandon Miller played, Con played, and Miles Bridges played. And in those games, he still averaged 21.3 points a game, covered this in 8 out of 13 games, but he has a huge correlation with pick and roll ball handler. That's his dominant play type, dominant way of scoring. He scores almost 30% of his points as a pick and roll ball handler. So when we exclude top 10 teams against pick and roll ball handler, his average goes up to 23 points a game, covering this line in 6 out of 8 games. So this could be a nice spot. Also, we can see that first one on the graph is against the Sixers, the team he's playing tonight, and he had 27 points in that game, even though everyone played. So similar matchup, similar roster, similar rotation. So it should be a great spot for LaMelo Ball. And yeah, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and see you into the next one.